Hello and welcome to this demo video for your next assistant Speyy, which I have no doubt will change your life. For context, I'm Maxime Schiffler, founder of the company Meridium. It's been 3 years now that we've been helping companies integrate AI. For the past year, 100% of my work has been done by artificial intelligence. So my only job is to give instructions to a bunch of AIs that automate every part of my work. And today that has allowed me to reach productivity levels 4 to 5 times higher than what I could achieve before artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, all these tools are still very technical and require a lot of technical expertise. That's why we developed Speyy, which is designed to be a true assistant that lets you automate your entire workflow, all while staying incredibly simple. The big difference between Speyy and AIs like ChatGPT or Claude is that those AIs only answer your questions, whereas Speyy actually performs actions. It acts on your behalf by connecting to all your tools. So how does Speyy actually work? Well, as you can see here, it's presented through a chat interface, exactly like what we'll be able to have with all the other assistants. The big difference, obviously, is that we can give it actions. We can take a very concrete example here. Hi Speyy, I just met Mathis representing the company Meridium. I just had a quick meeting with him. I'd like you to send him a quick email to thank him for the meeting we had today and suggest 3 time slots to him based on my availability next week for a second meeting. So I'm just sending him a quick voice note. I could have typed it too. Here I'm going to add, I forgot to mention his email address. So mathisemeridium.be. So that's it. I'm sending it a message. Actually, in the background, it's going to connect to all my tools to perform this task. And so there you go. Here we can see that it's prepared an email. One extremely important point is that for any actions I would classify as truly irreversible, such as sending an email, it will never perform those tasks on its own. In this instance, it drafted the email and displayed it in the interface, so I can easily make any minor adjustments that I might want should the need arise. Here, you can see it found 3 time slots in my calendar, drafted the email, and included everything it needs to. So this email looks good to me. And so I just confirm the send, and it'll send it off. A major point about Speyy is that it actually gets to know you. So typically, everything you tell it, all the feedback you provide. So for example, here, I could have given feedback on how to write the email. It will remember all of that. And the idea is that it's a bit like having an employee. You're training over time. Everything you tell it, it will remember, and then learn and reuse for the next time. So there you have it. We can see here that it sent the email correctly, it placed my signature, etc. So it did that properly. And the major point is that when you sign up, it's going to ask you quite a few questions. You're going to connect your tools to it. It's a process that really allows it to understand who you are and as a result, personalize the experience over time. So Speyy, there are 2 ways to make it work. The first way is to give it a task, just like we did here. And the second way is to ask it to perform recurring regular tasks. And actually, it will automatically trigger at the time we've scheduled. So, for example, it's extremely useful for monitoring, follow-ups, or following up on emails that haven't received a response, and so on. So here you are in the skills interface, and the idea is that we can train it to perform a very specific task down to the smallest detail, and it can be a really comprehensive task. So here, for example, we can see a case. I've created a quote skill. There are a lot of skills already built into the system. And so here, typically, I'm going to explain to it how to create a quote. Hi, could you create a quote for Mathis for the Speyy implementation? So it will be for an amount of 500 euros. So there you go. It has finished the task here. It took a quick minute, maybe 2, to do it. And so here I can open the document it created directly in the interface. And based on the instructions I gave it in the skill I created with it earlier, well, it created this complete quote. So here we can see that it made a tiny little mistake, and we're going to work on that. Actually, I can just give them some feedback. Heads up, the header is white, change it to a darker color, because the logo is white, so it doesn't show up very well. There we go. So here you can see that it has corrected the document. I can open it directly in the chat, and there you go. It's bolded the header. So with this conversational approach, we can really discuss and adapt the document. And this feature, well, it actually works just as well for PDF documents as it does for Word, Excel, and so on. The idea is that you can always edit these documents directly in the interface, and actually there's no limit to the size of the documents, so it can even draft 20-page documents like responses to calls for tenders. In fact, there's no real limit to what it's capable of doing. So it's an assistant that saves time. Here it took as I said, about 2 minutes to create the document. The idea is that this is still a very, very basic task. There might be multi-step tasks where, in fact, whether it's the follow-up email with the time slots, I could have also had it explain the whole meeting, asked it to update my CRM, and at the same time create an offer to integrate into the CRM. So that's work that might have taken it, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes. The idea is that you don't have to wait in front of the screen while it works for 5 or 10 minutes. That's why we've added a small, simple feature. Here in the settings, you can find the task completion and browser notification options. Actually, in the background, when it's done working, it just makes a little sound, a small notification to let you know it's finished. So the idea is you give it a task, you do something else in the meantime, and as soon as it's done, it notifies you. Also, another thing you can do is send it documents directly. And that allows you can ask it to edit, work on, or do other things with those documents. And finally, a major point about Speyy is that it's capable of doing a lot of things, many very complex tasks. And I can understand that at first glance, it might be difficult to grasp everything it's capable of doing. So that's why we've added this little use cases button here, which is essentially a gallery of use cases that we prepared with Miriam. And actually, these are use cases that are already highly optimized for performing quite a few tasks. So typically, as I mentioned earlier, following up on unanswered emails, lead generation, meeting summaries, what I was just explaining. So quite simply, sending it a short voice note that explains the entire meeting we just had. And another important point that is a real strength of Speyy is the monitoring aspect. Since it has access to the internet, it has access to social media and so on. Something we can ask it to do, a really interesting use case, at least for us, is targeted market intelligence. The same goes for competitor monitoring, SEO tracking, and so on. So it can be applied to quite a few fields. And the idea behind competitor monitoring and targeted market intelligence is that, at least in our case, it goes out 2 or 3 times a day to check all the social networks, news, review sites, and so on, to find companies that meet certain criteria. So for us, a good prospect is a company that has hired a new CTO, launched a new website, or received bad reviews on TripAdvisor, which would imply poor customer service. And actually, we have quite a few signals like that. Speyy will continuously monitor all platforms, all websites, all NetW, all social networks to find companies that match these various signals. If it finds one, then at that point, it will actually perform an analysis and really qualify the prospect, estimate whether it's a good prospect or not. And if it determines it's a good prospect, at that point, it will actually go on LinkedIn to find all the decision makers at the company and retrieve their email addresses. And actually, this is something that can be coupled with prospecting, where automatically, as soon as it finds a prospect and retrieves their email address, it will draft a hyper-personalized prospecting email and place it in your drafts. Obviously, they don't see it yet. We can show an example here. So here, typically, you can see that he asked a lot of questions. He touched on all the points I provided about myself. And here, with him, we'll assess what the signals are, whether there's a qualified target, and so on. This is the same concept for every use case. I highly encourage you to explore this gallery of use cases. We're going to add a lot more. For now, there isn't a huge amount, but the idea is that it will be really packed. It covers as much on sales, which was a key point in the presentation, as it does on administration, productivity, communication, strategy, and so on. So we really cover a lot of areas. The idea is that Speyy is a tool that's hyper-agnostic in terms of use cases, so it can cater to a huge number of people. So there you have it. We've now taken a general tour of the assistant. There's so much you can do with it. And actually, where we stand today is that it's still a tool under development, so it's not finished yet. We're looking for beta users. So if you're interested in joining this beta program, please feel free to email me directly at maxime@miriam.be. Describe your use cases a bit and what you'd like to do with Speyy. That's it, you know everything now. If you'd like to test it, please contact me, and I look forward to testing the assistant with you.